Hey there YouTube, how you doing? It's Robert Summers once again bringing you a video that is going to help you break the shackles and chains that exist from connecting with people that are narcissistic. Now again, we can have, or people can have, narcissistic characteristics. They can have behaviors that resemble a narcissist, but it doesn't always mean they are a narcissist. Some people are, some people are not. But regardless, the fact of the matter is that those behaviors or that clinical diagnosis certainly is going to have or perhaps can have some effect on us. Now, blame is something that a person that is a narcissist or again has those characteristics will use. Now, if you're sitting there and you're listening, and let's just say, for example, you repeatedly over your life, specifically in the relationship that you have been in or you're in, that you're being blamed for someone else's unhappiness, okay? This video is for you. Perhaps you live in a house where others don't even look, they don't even pay attention to things they're doing, okay? They don't look to the contributions they make to their dysfunction, but rather blame you. Perhaps you've been repeatedly blamed for the way someone else thinks, their toxic mindset, their personality, their dysfunction. You get the blame. Their decisions that they make that are unhealthy, you get the blame. Perhaps your spouse is repeatedly blaming you for the problems that may exist within the marriage. And yet there's even more that in their family they have become the scapegoat. Well, that's called blaming. And what blame is basically, it's very critical. It's actually the act of criticizing someone, making negative statements about an individual. It's precisely the opposite of praise. And a narcissist banks on the fact that you have been wounded, perhaps you're codependent, maybe there's some rejection there, and you have a relationship addiction, and therefore will lure you into that relationship because of your wounds, your dependencies, or what have you, and then immediately begin to blame you in order to keep you in that whirlwind of narcissistic psychological warfare, all of which blame is part of. See, blame is psychological warfare. It's a tool of psychological warfare, and it's designed to cast or project characters to play in the narcissist full feature film. It's basically a false narrative of people. And it goes frame by frame as you go through life, and it paints a picture of you as a character in the narcissistic movie, or the movie of the narcissist, that you are defective, and that they're the victim, not you. It is the tool, blame is the tool of choice for a narcissist. Now, again, in a narcissist's mind, everything is an illusion. They have to create an illusion because there's serious wounds, there's serious pains in that narcissist. They have a very fragile and volatile soul. That's because of the years of rejection, the pain, the suffering, the abuse, whatever. And what they've done is they've swung the pendulum to another place in what we would call aggressiveness, in so much that they look to control, manipulate, intimidate, and dominate other people. Other people can go through that and typically may come out rejected, wounded, have a sense of inferiority, insecurity, and have, enter into what we call relationship addiction. Whether you're the victim or the narcissist plays on the victim, and the victim flows right in or gets right into into that feeder system of the narcissist. It is an insidious spirit. It's demonic, and again, it's something that we have to understand. See, you have to understand how this stuff works. If not, you'll think you're crazy. If not, then you'll continue to behave the way you do. See, the human brain needs to understand that there is a reason why. Not an excuse, but there's a reason why we behave the way we do. There has to be a reason why we're attracted to toxic people, or we attract toxic people into our life. Okay? So again, that's why it's important to understand these things. That's why we put these videos out. Sometimes people will comment and say, well, hey, well, tell me how I fix the problem. Well, it's not always about fixing the problem without understanding what's going on. Again, we always say this, is that deliverance, healing, and wholeness in one's life, in order to be a healthy person, is a journey. It's not a quantum leap. You don't achieve this in just 1 day, 1 hour, or 1 20-minute video, per se. Okay? So again, blame to a narcissist is a picture. They created a play script. They created a, in their mind, there are players, there are people, there are actors. They themselves are an actor. And they have to cast this play, this theatrical performance, and give people scripts. And what happens is the script that they've given you is that you're the one, and just like everybody else, has to be blamed. In other words, you're the bad person in their picture. Okay? So what happens is, in the real danger of that projection, what it does is it makes us feel like we're a bad person. So in their theatrical, view, they have to demonize. They have to blame other people, because if they don't, they're never going to blame themselves, because in their movie, they can't be the bad person. Okay? So to keep the game going, okay, the blame has to be consistent. To keep the narcissistic blame going, that blame has to be consistent. Okay? The reason for that is because the narcissist, their behavior, which is highly dysfunctional, of course, that needs to remain in darkness. And by it remaining in darkness and blaming you, it gets everybody else to be on their side. Okay? It facilitates their grandiose mindset. And what it does is it medicates or anesthetizes their own internal pain, okay, that they've experienced from childhood trauma or rejection. So yeah, to the narcissist, you're the blame. In our coaching lane, we coach many people that are in relationships or have been victims, as it were, from a narcissist, or past relationships, or parents, or families, or whatever it may be. And in every case, they're always being blamed. Again, blame is a game to the narcissist. See, always to the narcissist, you're the blame. So they'll say things like, well, I hit you. The reason I hit you was because of something you did. You're the reason I hit you. I had an affair with a person because you didn't give me enough attention. You weren't there for me. You didn't love and support me the way that you should have. You didn't engage in some perverse sexual act or whatever it may be. Okay? You're going to get the blame. So they can commit adultery and say, hey, you're the blame. They can have an affair. You're the blame. Okay? The reason they'll say something like, well, the reason I watched porn is because of you. Because if you were satisfying me, if you were doing what I told you to do, if you would come into the bedroom and do what I told you to be, or told you to do, then I wouldn't have gone to that. So you're the blame for, again, their toxic behavior. Okay? Maybe it's you're in a relationship, and the person that you're in a relationship with, perhaps the spouse, goes back to some addictive behavior: drugs, alcohol, tobacco, relationships, work, whatever it may be, some addiction, the internet. Okay, a lot of different things. And then when that's brought up, because it's unhealthy, it's toxic to the family, it creates a lot of problems, you bring it up, and then the finger's pointed at you, the accusation goes your way, and the blame is ascribed to you, because I wouldn't have gone back to that addiction if you would have, and you can fill in the blanks there. I always work, okay? There's some couples where the husband or wife is always working, they're always out of the home, there's no attention being given, there's no love, support from that spouse. And then they'll say, well, I'm always at work, I have to work because of you, because you spend too much, because you won't work, or because you won't do this, or you won't do that, and if you wouldn't have had all these kids, and if you wouldn't have bought any clothes, or whatever it may be, it's always the blame on you. Maybe it's financial blame. The reason we have financial problems is because of you. It's obviously they didn't have a part to play in it. So again, the narcissistic blame game, okay, what it will do, that blame will suggest and project, okay, their dysfunctional thinking and their disobedience that they have in doing what's correct, what's right, what's normal. they will project that dysfunction, their dysfunction, they'll project that on you. Okay? So again, you know, I wouldn't be so angry all the time if you would just do this. Okay? If you didn't make me so angry, I wouldn't explode on you. I wouldn't, you know, lay into you. I wouldn't have cussed you out. If you would have done what I told you, if you would just listen to me, and that's a good one, I wouldn't have punched holes in all the walls. I wouldn't have kicked the dog and thrown things all around the house. You made me do that. See, that's the blame game. They have to do that. Because if they don't blame them, I mean, if they don't blame others, who are they going to blame? They're not going to blame themselves, because if they were to do that, then their entire, you know, view of themselves collapses. Their core, that false character, that falseness about them, that pseudo identity that they've created, that whole thing comes falling down. Okay? So again, blame is designed to trick you into compromising your values. There's a reason that they do this. The narcissist wants you to compromise your values, okay? To simply maintain that toxic relationship. So, you know, when the blame comes forth, you begin to internalize and say, well, maybe, you know, maybe I am a problematic. Maybe I'm not valuable. Maybe I'm not a good wife. Maybe I'm not a good husband. Maybe I'm not a good girlfriend or boyfriend. Or maybe I'm not beautiful enough. There's always something there. Maybe I'm not pleasing to him. Maybe we're unhappy because of something I do. Maybe I'm always complaining. Maybe this, that, and the other. Again, that's exactly what the blame game's about, is for you to see that you are the blame for their behaviors. And I'm here to tell you that you're not. You're not the blame. You are not your brother's keeper. It is not your responsibility to make other people happy. Happiness belongs to us individually, because what makes me happy may not make you happy, and what makes you happy may not make me happy. So that's an individual thing, and it's hard to define for other, you know, it's hard for us to define what makes somebody else happy. So you're not responsible for somebody else's happiness. You're not responsible for fixing them. You're not responsible for doing everything they want. You're not responsible for complying to their wishes. No, you're not. What you are responsible for is to make certain that you renew your mind, that you think on things that are praiseworthy, that you value yourself, that you set proper boundaries, that you take your life back, so that, again, you can be healthy and you can be catapulted into life and be a blessing in every sector of society and in every relationship that you come into. Now, if you don't do that and you receive the blame, if you continue to allow that to happen, then blame ultimately turns to guilt. And it can happen pretty quick. We can take the blame, feel bad about ourselves, and now we're guilt-ridden, okay? And we feel condemned. See, the thing about guilt is guilt says, I did something wrong. So when that blame game is played and you participate in it, then what happens is you feel, oh, I did something wrong. I didn't wear the right clothes. I didn't say the right thing. I didn't make the phone call. I didn't cook the dinner. I didn't. You cast condemnation on yourself, okay? The problem with that is blame can turn to guilt, but then guilt can turn to shame. Now the rabbit hole goes deeper, and this is the ultimate objective of a narcissist or someone that has that behavior. And they don't necessarily understand it. It's not always, that behavior is not always intentional, but it's still what they do, and they need to be free from that. Now, some people don't believe a narcissist can be freed. I disagree. Why? Because if you're teachable, you're salvageable. Now, I will agree that a lot of narcissists are not teachable. I get that. But all things are possible to him that believes. If you believe it, then a person can get free. But they have to want it. They have to own it. It's not on you, it's on them. And again, although the numbers may be low, I'll concur with that. It is possible. We've seen it, we do it, we work with people like that. And again, we're helping people out. But again, if you turn the blame and let it just continue to meander. You have a sense of guilt and condemnation. Now shame comes in, and shame says this. Shame says you are a problem. You are defective. You are not valuable. It basically personalizes the guilt. It says I am a problem. Not I had a problem, or not I did something. Now we take it personal and we put ourselves in that. And again, that's what the narcissist personality, that insidious spirit, wants to do. It wants to cast you in its game. It wants to cast you in its movie and make you the one that is wrong. Because as long as everybody else is wrong and they can paint that picture, then they can gather other people to support their views, what they're doing. And again, at the end of the day, it's all about devaluing you. Devaluing you and ultimately discarding you. So it's time for us to become educated. It's time for us to become equipped and understand these things, and then get the help we need so that we can live whole and healthy lives. Now, if you need that help, you can go down below and look. We have a lot of different materials. We have books. We have, obviously, YouTube videos that are out there. We have classes. And then also we have coaching. Now, our coaching lane is very, very powerful. And what we do is we meet with people, we talk to people, we coach them through the process, and we get people healthy. We don't focus so much on the other person. Matter of fact, we rarely focus on the other person. The focus is on making certain you're okay, that you can recover, that you can be healed from the wounds of the past, and understand why it is, how did you even get in this type of relationship. And then, of course, if the relationship that you're in, if that person desires to be free, clearly we can help in that area as well. All right. Well, listen, just want to thank you guys for checking out the channel here. Again, always a blessing to be with you guys. Please share it. Check out the information below. Go to our website, summersministries.com. Set up your own personal appointment. It would be one of the best investments that you make. Hey, until next time, again, we love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for following us, and we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.